So this is a seat upholstery replacement, 3rd generation 4Runner. We're doing the front seats, lower and upper seat upholstery on this driver's seat. Passenger seat is out. Passenger seat we did first. There's the finished product. We kept the seat back on this one, but we did the lower seat cushion. So now that that's done, we're gonna put that back in. The process of taking the seat itself in and out is pretty easy. There's 4 bolts and they're 14mm heads. They're really easy to find. Pop those out, and then there's one electrical connection right there. That's the fan for the rear seat heater. Basically looks like it's just a fart cannon straight from the, I mean, if you think about it.
Oh yeah,
but
you can really make the people suffer in the back.
I'm not sure whose idea that design was, but it looks intentional. So that's the front seat, and we're expecting to see a pretty good improvement there. From how much did we pay for the new upholsteries that we got?
A little over $400.
Okay, so that's 2 seat bottoms and 1 seat back upholstery. So $400. It is actual leather. It's not vinyl, and of course this has over 200,000 on it. So when we had everything out, we did make sure to vacuum. Obviously, a great opportunity for that. Still glass residue from a break-in years ago and a bunch of stuff. And then we hit it with some just cheap shampooing, foamy shampoo. Carpet cleaner from the auto parts store. I use Tough Stuff, but we hit it with some Tough Stuff, get all that syrup out of there that's been, Coca-Cola and stuff from past 24 years. And you can see it looks really, really nice. Great opportunity to do that. So we're gonna pop this passenger seat back in, get the driver's seat back out. That should be, again, 4 bolts, 1 electrical connection. And I guess we'll start the process from when this is out. So that's before on the front seat. Really easily one of the nastiest parts of this whole car. I mean, this thing's in pretty good shape. So there's the passenger. We did the seat bottom on that. The seat back was in good enough shape. So we're gonna take this driver's seat out, go through the process for that. Again, it's 4 bolts on the bottom there. They're covered up by these plastic covers. It's pretty easy to take these off. You just pop them off with your hands. It's tricky. You can use a flathead screwdriver. But that's a pretty straightforward process. So next thing, we're just going to get the seat out.
414s.
Yep, 414s. All right, so the driver's seat is out. Again, just because repetition is key. 414s and 1 electrical connector, all very easily. It's not the hardest part of this job. Next thing we got to do is take these 2 plastic covers off the side. One on this side, one on the other side. These are pretty easy. This one will have 1 screw back there, and then you will remove this. This just comes off with a flathead screwdriver by prying. And then there's a clip there. And then this one over here will be, I believe, a couple of Phillips head screws, and then a clip over here. These are really easy to come off, so that's the next step. What we have over here is the new upholstery. So we should have 1 seat back and 1 seat bottom. That is going to be a seat back. This is going to be a seat bottom. You can get vinyl. The vinyl is cheaper, but the leather is obviously nicer. Dad actually got quotes for $1,000 and $2,000 from upholstery shops to do this job. So we're doing it for $400. So I've never done upholstery before on any car.
2,000 was for leather.
Yeah.
1 was for...
1 was for vinyl, right? Yeah, and this is what we're doing is with leather. So I mean, I've never done upholstery with hog rings and actually, fixing new material to an old cushion. The cushions are fine. We don't need to replace those. So that's really the meat of what I'm trying to communicate, is how to deal with the hog rings and the how to actually attach the upholstery to the cushion. But as long as we got that out, you should always, obviously, you got the seat out of a car, it's a great opportunity to vacuum and shampoo. With about 5 minutes of vacuuming and shampooing, yeah, this will look like, 95% of the way to brand new again. And that'll make a huge, huge difference in there. That passenger seat's already looking a lot better. All right, so now that the chair's out of the car and the plastic side rails are off, plastic side covers are off, to reupholster this lower seat cushion, we have to remove the seat cushion from the frame of the seat. It's very easy. It's 4 bolts. It is 1 there, 1 there. I think that's one of them. But there's 4 of them. They're 12mm. There's 1 there, one there, and then there's two just like that corresponding on the other side. I'm not gonna flip it over and show it, but that's all we gotta do to remove this seat cushion from this frame is these 412 millimeters right here. So we're gonna do that. All right, so now the lower seat cushion has been unbolted from the frame, it's starting to come out. This looks scary, but it's really not. There's just a few places where the wiring harness, couple places where the wiring harness clips into this lower seat cushion, like right there and right there. And those can either be removed by hand or a couple of them take needle nose pliers. But that's the last thing we got to do is just unhook that wiring harness from that lower seat cushion, then the lower seat cushion will be out. All right, so now we've got the lower seat cushion. It's on its own. The only thing we got to do next is reupholster it with one of those new pieces of upholstery, new leather seat covers. So the way that this leather upholstery is affixed to this seat cushion is basically there's a couple series of hog rings and wires. So this is what I'll call the outer series of hog rings. Basically, what I would call the inner series of hog rings attaches the upper flat portion of this material to the cushion itself. And then what I'm calling the outer, the first ones we have to do, set of hog rings, is a set of hog rings that actually stretches the edges of the seat cover out and affixes those to the bottom of the frame of the cushion. So what we have to do first, basically is a two-step process. What we have to do first is we have to remove all of these hog rings. See, these are the hog rings. And basically you can use tin snips, or you just have to have some kind of a cutting tool at this time. You have to have some kind of a cutting tool and go through those. And we're gonna remove all of those. And at that point, we will be able to start folding this leather material outward. And the only thing, but that's a good point. So there's a big U-shaped wire right here that goes around this periphery of this leather material. You can't see it now because it's in this sleeve, but basically these hog rings are going through that U-shaped wire, which is under this kind of, almost looks like a, it's in this pocket. And these hog rings are affixing, this leather material to this frame, and they're going through that metal wire to do that. And the reason why that's all relevant is because this metal wire is actually reused. This new seat bottom, and we're comparing basically like for like, because this is upside down, this is upside down. Basically, we're gonna have to remove that metal wire that all those hog rings are going through. We're gonna have to remove that out of here. It's just like taking a drawstring out of a hoodie. And we're gonna have to wind it through here. That seems like it'd be a huge pain, and it would take forever and not work very well. So actually, surprisingly, we didn't have a hard time with it. We were using two people. I was kind of guiding the wire, and Dad was kind of pushing, and we just did not have too hard of a time with it. But all that is to say, the next step is to clip off all these hog rings, and we're gonna clip off these hog rings and see where that gets us. All right, so this time, all of the hog rings themselves have been removed, and you can see, again, the goal of the hog rings is to basically tie this metal wire right here into each of these holes in this frame. So there's a hog ring here, 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 and so forth on the other side. Actually, there's two more right there that I gotta get, that I forgot about. But this is the tool. This is like some kind of glorified tin snip tool. You just cut right through them, they pop off, you don't reuse them. I did wear safety glasses for that. Some of them will pop and fly around. I personally would be wearing glasses for them. Knock these two out next that I'd forgotten about. See, there's two more hog rings. I'm not sure what the purpose of this little bounty paper towel is. I know there's two more hog rings back there that I gotta get. And then we will start peeling this upholstery off of this cushion. All right, so we got those last two hog rings out. You can see that's the wire that they go around, and they go through that hole and that hole. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna start peeling this whole thing back. All right, so now that those hog rings that again secure the outer periphery of the upholstery to the underside of the cushion, now those are removed, we can peel back that upholstery. And now we get to what I would call the inner hog rings. The inner hog rings, as I'm calling them, basically secure this upper part of the upholstery to the seat cushion itself. So when you start pulling this back, what you see is, well, you can't really see it very well at all, but basically, see that? There's this wire. That wire is integral to the upholstery, and there's a hog ring. That hog ring goes through that wire, which is integral to the upholstery, and it runs through another wire, I guess you would say, with it that is integral to the seat cushion. So it's effectively the hog ring is mating the two wires or rods together that are, that hold the upholstery to the cushion. There is a row of hog rings for this wire right here on that side. Likewise, there's going to be under here, there's going to be another rod just like that one. It's going to be, and you can see there's a little indentation like that for each hog ring. And so we just have to get down there and clip those. And then the third rail goes the other way, and it's not really visible until you get these hog rings separated. But there's going to be another wire or rod that goes right here, which again goes matches up with a rod inside the cushion that's going to be hog ringed together. So again, we're going to use this tool right here, and we're going to go through and one by one. And I know it's kind of hard to see because the hog rings are all kind of under the folds of the upholstery and stuff. It's really not that bad. You just got to dig around and locate them. And one by one, we're going to clip those out. It's going to take probably 3 minutes. And then at that point, this will be separated from this. And then we begin reversing the process of putting this new material onto the seat.
And we don't reuse that wire
What's that?
in the cover. That wire in the cover is not reused this time.
I mean, that's part of this whole job is these new aftermarket seat covers. What I call the inner set of hog rings, the hog rings that hold the upper part of the upholstery to the cushion. These, there are rods in here. These come with rods in them. However, these more peripheral rods, this big U-shaped one like I described earlier, and then this one at the back here, this little straight one at the back, those we will have to insert into here. And actually, there's no provision to insert, this is the back, there's no provision to insert this rod into here. So what we did on the last one, and it worked pretty well, is we just cut a tiny hole with scissors, and we just jammed that rod in there, and that worked fine. So anyways, we are going to begin cutting all the hog rings out of this. All right, so we have now removed the hog rings along this orientation on each side of the chair. So you can see again, there is the rod. That is the rod that is integral to the upholstery that the hog rings are going through. That rod exists in the new seat cushion or seat upholstery. We do not have to take this out and transfer it to that one. Because the new upholstery comes with that. But you can see there's 4 spots where you see those indentations there, 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 and there, where there's the wire that's integral to the seat cushion, and each of those had a hog ring through it, and you just go through and you snip each of those off. And now those are off on each side. You see there's the one wire that runs this way. Again, it's just a pair of wires. You got a wire through the upholstery, you got a wire through the cushion, and down in there, it's hard to see. It's really not as bad as it looks, but there's a hog ring down there, and we just have to clip each of those individual little hog rings out and then remove this.
Shape that I would have expected.
Yeah, it's definitely reusable. So now we've got the bare seat cushion with the upholstery off of it. As you can see, there's kind of our H pattern. There's our wire there that takes the hog rings, wire there, and wire there. And then the idea is that this is going to go over this. We'll kind of fold the ears back of it, right? And then what we're doing ultimately, essentially, is you begin with the kind of horizontal wire of the H. And if this makes sense, this is the inside. Inside of this sort of pocket right here, there is a rod. I'm not sure what it's made out of, some kind of composite of some kind. It could be metal, could be composite, doesn't matter. There's some kind of a rod in there. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna clip that rod to that metal rod right there using hog rings. So I had never used hog rings before today because I've never really done any upholstery work quite like this before. Trying to get the, see if you can get that hog ring into that hog ring plier. This is way, way easier than I would have thought, and it's way, way easier than it looks. But basically, you buy a bunch of hog rings just like this at the store, right? We got these Ace Hardware. We got this at Ace Hardware. These are probably not the right size hog rings for doing this. They're probably way too big, and we don't think it matters. It's a pretty imprecise science. So once you get them lodged in the hog ring pliers, what you do next, and we're not gonna do it for real right now, but basically this integral wire in this upholstery material, you get it right up there against that integral wire in the cushion, and you take your hog ring pliers and you get that hog ring. You basically just kind of open the jaws of the hog ring itself around those two, and then you crunch down on your pliers, and the hog ring cinches up and holds these two rods together. That's this entire process. If you can get that basically through your mind, you can, that's really the only, other side from just turning screwdrivers and wrenches, it's the only really nuance to this process. And I will add that it is easier than it looks in my humble opinion. Cutting off all the hog rings and then doing the thing where you actually cinch up on the hog rings around all of these wires or rods or whatever you want to call them that hold this stuff together. We're gonna just take,
Hog tie.
that's right, we're gonna take that hog ring. So just as an example, that is the first one. You can see that hog ring, we just got it around this bar thing, and then you know, that rod down there, and we just bent it, you know, using the pliers, and it, I mean, it's really simple as it can be. It's easier than it looks. All right, so there's a fresh row of freshly installed row of freshly installed hog rings. Again, we're working on this side of the seat cushion, but you see down that line 1, 2, 3, 4. You just go through and basically clamp the upholstery down to that wire inside the cushion, and we're gonna do that side. And once we do that side, then we'll begin the process of folding this whole upholstery piece over the cushion, and then we do the U-shaped wire in there, the transfer. At this point, all of the, as I call them, inner hog rings are in. So basically, under this material, we got a row of hog rings right there that's holding the upholstery to the cushion. We got a row of hog rings right there, same thing, and a row of hog rings right there again, holding the upper part of the upholstery to the upper part of the cushion. So now, obviously, the next step that we have is to start folding over the outer periphery of the upholstery material over the outside of the seat cushion. There.
Cardboard.
That would have been smart 5 minutes ago. All right, so it's starting to look like a lower seat cushion there. So effectively, there's the frame, the pan that this all goes in. But you can see now essentially we've got the cushion itself is reupholstered. There's where all of our rows of hog rings are holding this, giving it some adhesion. So now, as I call them, the outer set of hog rings around the periphery here. So we got to do those. So we got this material and cushion, and we have this frame, this metal frame.
Got to grab the wire out of this one.
That's right. So this is when you have to start reusing parts from the old material. So there's a big U-shaped, see, these are lined up, U-shaped wire in a pocket that runs around the periphery of this. And that is one end of it. We're gonna pull that out just like the drawstring on a hoodie. we are going to stick that through this corresponding pocket on the new material. It is going to be easier than it sounds like, believe it or not. And then we're also going to take this rod right here. You got a metal rod on the back side of this upholstery. We're going to jam it up into this pocket right here very crudely, just by cutting a hole and jamming it in here so that we can tie hog rings. And again, what we're doing, once that metal wire is in there, that is going to come like that. Well, roughly, I mean, you get the idea. And then it's going to go hog ring, hog ring, hog ring, hog ring, hog ring, and then there. So that should take,
Voila.
not a whole ton of time. All right, so the big U-shaped wire that we took out of the old material is now threaded in. It's in around here. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna start by, we're gonna hold that, it's in there. We're gonna hold that wire up to all these different places where it fastens to the frame. And we're gonna hog tie it there, and in all these different places. You'll see that in a minute. But the other thing that we gotta do is, like I said, you have to stick the old straight wire from the back side of the cushion into this pocket. And they don't really give you a provision for that. So you have to cut your own hole, like you see there. And then this is how we did it, at least. Once you cut that hole, you can just slide this rod right in. And you can just, as long as it's in there, this is a very imprecise science. As long as that rod is in this pocket, you can take this, and at the end, once we've done all those, we'll take that and we will use a hog ring to secure that rod in there through this hole, just crunching it down. So that is the next step. Just do a bunch of hog rings around here. We're over the hill on this. The harder of the hog rings are the inner ones. These outer hog rings, these are a piece of cake. Probably have all these done in 3 minutes. And at that point, it's time to start thinking about securing this back to the frame. But yeah, before we do that, we got to do the seat back, which we haven't done that one yet. We didn't do that on the passenger side. We kept the original, so that'll be a brand new learning experience. Got hog ring loaded into the plier. Got the wire is in there. And then we've got this thing that we're going to secure it to. And basically we just come around like this, make sure all the things that we want are together, and clamp down on that, get nice and tight. And now that hog ring is securing, the upholstery to the frame. It's a pretty good system. You can try this one too, as long as we're at it. So again, you're making sure you're getting that wire up against this thing, because trying to clamp this all together. Get your hog ring in your plier. Now you've got it all hooked together, and then we're gonna go around. Like I said, got a bunch of them all along here and in the back. That's all there is to it. All right, so that is basically a reupholstered seat bottom. You've got the leather. I mean, take a look at that. This was like from the factory right there. So as promised, you got this whole, row of hog rings around the periphery of the seat upholstery material, holding it into the frame. As you remember, the big U-shaped wire here came out of the old piece. You'd have to transfer that. Same with the straight wire that came out of there. But you can see, putting these hog rings in for these peripheral connections, putting these hog rings in is not bad. I mean, we probably could have done it in 1 minute, We weren't sitting here yakking the whole time.
And for extra credit, we can tell you what a hog ring does for a hog.
Yeah, right. It does actually. The hog ring is actually something they use on a farm. All I can say about that is I'm glad I wasn't born a pig. And then obviously, as you remember before, under here, there's a row of hog rings here, and there's a row of hog rings here and here. And so that's all nice and secure. That looks really, really nice. This is actual leather. This is not vinyl. Again, the material for this job, the 2 seat bottom leathers and the 1 seat upper leather, that was $400. Seems like $400 really well spent. Would have been about $1,000 in labor to reupholster these seats professionally, but we're doing it here, saving some money. We got the for reference, the passenger side seat bottom, from taking the seat out of the car to back in the car, all in, that was about an hour. The driver's side, we're doing the seat back as well. That's going to be a new experience. I don't know if that's going to be harder or easier than the seat bottom, but that's what we're going to tackle next. Anyways, from here, if all we were doing was the seat bottom, the hard part would be done, and it'd be 4 12mm bolts to bolt this seat cushion back into that seat frame, and then it would be 4 14mm bolts to bolt that seat frame back into the car. However, for the driver's side, we are also doing the seat back because obviously he needs it. I don't really know where I'm starting with here, but a couple things that I can tell I'm gonna have to deal with. It's got this lumbar control, so that seems very easy. In fact, it's already popped out. So that, I think we're just gonna unplug that, and that's gonna be real easy. I do not know how we're supposed to handle the headrest pieces here. I don't know how or if those are supposed to come out, so that's gonna be potentially a challenge for us. Well, I already forgot it. But what I do know is basically the way you start removing this is right here, and I already removed it earlier and put it back. There's basically just like, I would describe it as like a channel system. So basically the way that this seam comes together is, and you can see it's taken apart now, but these little, it's like a channel lock. Basically these little pieces go into here, and this can just be removed by hand. And so now that this is open, I guess we're gonna try and start, I don't know, sliding this upholstery material up and off. Not sure. All right, so we're halfway through removing the seat back upholstery. This looks like it's honestly gonna be kind of a cinch compared to the seat bottom skill level required wise. So basically, like I said, you've got kind of a plastic locking mechanism down here that kind of holds together the clamshell of this whole seat back upholstery piece. And once you undo that right there, it's pretty intuitive how you undo that. It's not rocket science. Once you undo that, you just start folding this material upward, you know, all around the thing. And then you keep doing that until you run into 2 hog rings. There's 2 hog rings there and there that basically just to keep the upholstery here flush to this cushion material. Those appear to be the only 2 hog rings in this entire seat back, as opposed to the, you know, couple dozen hog rings that were in the seat cushion. So we're going to remove those hog rings. And then I think once we remove those hog rings, we can keep folding this upward, peeling it upward, I guess I should say, and keep peeling this upward. And then I still do not understand how these are, how we're gonna handle those. But Dad says that he does understand it. So we're gonna believe him for now. So
there are no holes.
And there are no holes in the new, yeah, we're gonna have to cut new holes. That's another thing I should add about the seat cushion. The lower seat cushion back there is the holes to bolt that seat cushion up to this frame. Those holes do not, that upholstery does not have those holes. It's not difficult, but all you have to do is you're gonna have to locate where those holes are, and you're gonna have to poke holes into that seat cushion material in order to bolt it.
This one had honest to God holes.
Yeah, right. Those holes were cut from the factory. I really don't understand why they couldn't have cut the holes on the new one, but basically those holes, yeah, you have to replicate those on that so that you can bolt it to this. All right, so we're gonna cut some hog rings. Things are quickly progressing with the removal of the old seat back material. There's the 2 places where it was hog ringed in. And as you can see, we clipped the hog rings, kept peeling this upward. And as you can see, I already got out one of the 2 headrest, you know, holder downer pieces. But basically the way that you remove those is you access them from up here. And if you see that, it's like the guy on the internet said, and I would have to agree, it kind of looks a little bit penis shaped, kind of like the head of a penis. You know, I'm just trying to be scientific here. And basically you get your hands around that. And you can see where I popped the old one out. If you just wrap your hands around that and squeeze down, I don't like where this is going, but if you wrap your hands around that and squeeze down, it will eject. This isn't getting any better. So that's what I'm gonna do. So, and trust me, once you start peeling the leather back and you get up in this back part, it's real obvious how they come out, but you gotta just be patient till that point. All right, so we got the seat back stripped down at the foam, ready for our new upholstered piece. What we're gonna do is we're gonna peel this upholstery. We're gonna fold it over itself, if that makes sense. We're gonna fold it inside out, and then we're gonna start working it down from here. As you can see, this is the line where the hog rings are gonna hog in, and we're just gonna attach a hog ring here and here as we are slowly, you know, re-unfolding the leather over this. And then this is where the lumbar switch is gonna go. One interesting note about this is that it doesn't come with any holes cut in it for either the headrest. We'll have to cut a couple headrest holes, and then we'll have to cut a hole for the lumbar. That shouldn't be too bad, it's just a note. So anyways, we're gonna start, basically next time you see this, it'll be inside out and probably about halfway onto this cushion. All right, so this is, as you can see, it's about 3 seconds since the last video, and it's like Dad said, it's pretty much just jumping on there. This is, we're just unfolding it onto the cushion, and there is one of those kind of hemp wires or rods. So that is the rod right there. That's, you know, midway up the seat back. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pull that rod toward that, you know, that clothes hanger looking thing that's integral to the cushion. There and there, we're gonna hog tie those together. Once we have those hog tied together, we're gonna move our attention up here. We're gonna poke a couple holes for the headrest. Poke a hole there and there for the headrest, and put those little 2 plastic headrest pieces in there. And then as we work our way down this way, once the hog rings are in, we'll cut one more hole for the lumbar switch, and that should be it. Doesn't look bad at all. All right, latest update. This upholstery material is starting to lay down on the seat cushion, working it over. We got our 2 hog rings done right there. The one thing that I will say about those 2 hog rings is it's counterintuitive, but you definitely want to install those from the back. They're much easier installed from working behind the seat back, not the front. Very simple to do. So we're starting to get our headrest pieces in. Basically, again, you have to cut the holes for those. You have to just kind of feel around. If you feel around for a minute, you'll figure out where the hole is, punch it out with a Phillips head screwdriver, and then cut the rest away with scissors is what we did. And then once we had this guy sort of in there, we did have to tap it with a rubber mallet to get it to actually clip in and seat, but it's in there now. We're gonna repeat that process, and got that one right there. We're gonna repeat the process with that one. From there, what we are gonna do is we gotta come over here, keep working this down, and then we gotta figure out where to cut our hole for the lumbar switch. That shouldn't be rocket science, but we gotta do it. And then really the final process for the seat back is, again, I would call this like a channel style clamp. It's not, I don't know how to explain how this works, but it's pretty obvious when you're looking at it. Basically, it's like a tongue and groove. All right, so this is the final step of the process, for the most part, of getting the seat back leather on. And I just want to show the mechanism for how this works. So you got that kind of channel right there. This is that channel right there. And then you got this one right here. And basically, I mean, you get the idea. You got to make that kind of tongue and groove thing work together. So this is going to require some stretching, and you know, not sure how difficult it's going to be or not. We haven't done it yet. So, but that's basically how this works. And then that holds this whole thing together like a clamshell. And that's the idea. All right, so there you have it. We got our tongue and groove kind of thing worked in there. I can't really explain how we did it. You basically just have to follow the logic of your brain, and it definitely helps if you have 2 people. But yeah, you know, I thought it was gonna be harder than it was. But yeah, between the 2 of us, we were able to kind of like bend and stretch, and you know, eventually the 2, you know, black C channels just kind of clamped together, and we just kept stretching and they popped. And so now that's basically together. Last thing we have to do for the seat back is we do have to cut the hole for the lumbar button on the other side. That shouldn't be too bad. Then we can prop this guy back upright, fix that with the 4 bolts, and then we have a complete seat. 4 more bolts, we should have the seat in the car. Not to mention we did vacuum it out. We'll shampoo it next. That'll be a big improvement. And yeah, I think we're at the home stretch. So I think we're 4 hours in, and that's with lunch and coffee and, you know, not really working too hard. So yeah, really not a bad job. All right, so as promised, we did cut the holes in the lower seat cushion for the mounting bolts. Just very rough. Cut one there, and then 2 more on the other side. Just punched them through with a Phillips head and then cut them with scissors. They don't have to be perfect. And it's not hard to find them. You just got to find them and punch them out. Then we got our freshly cleaned plastic covers. We're going to bolt that all back together, have a complete unit. It's a little bit wrinkly, especially in this light, but it'll be fine. It'll get some use, go through a few seasons, get some heat and cold and shrink cycles. And yeah, I mean, regardless, it's going to be a lot better than what was in there before. All right, so this is our complete, fully reupholstered front seats. Except for the headrest, I guess. But yeah, new seat back, new lower, you know, all new leather upholstery on it. Saw it before, it looked really rough. Bunch of tears, 200,000+ miles on it. So as you can see, it's still kind of wrinkled, but still way better than it was. And after some use and just a couple of seasons, hot and cold cycles, I think it'll look perfectly fine. So we're gonna stick this back in. Of course, we took the opportunity to vacuum out the inside as well as shampoo it. You know, 5 minutes of effort there makes a huge difference, and especially because when you have the seat out, it's never going to be easier or more effective. So 4 bolts, 1 electrical connector, and we are going to have this back in, and basically a brand new front seat. No problem. One of these days. Yeah, but I'd rather beat traffic.
Beat traffic would be hard at 4:30.
Well,